The last few weeks at Dynamic Tech Solutions had been nothing short of a whirlwind. My employer, a once small-scale software company, had boldly acquired Acme Tech, a competitor that had recently declared bankruptcy. The deal was opportunistic, a fire sale of sorts, but it thrust our team into the deep end. The goal was simple yet daunting: integrate Acme Tech's assets and staff into our operations as smoothly and swiftly as possible. As the project manager, I was at the forefront of this transformation. Every day brought a new challenge: reassigning staff, merging technologies, and a mountain of bureaucratic tape that seemed to grow with each passing hour. The chaos was exhilarating, but exhausting. "We've got to hit the ground running, Tony," my boss Marlene had said during one of our early morning briefings. Her eyes were intense, a clear sign she was feeling the pressure as much as anyone. "Every minute counts, and we can't afford any setbacks." "I understand, Marlene," I replied, sifting through the piles of documents on my desk. "I'll coordinate with the heads of both tech teams today and see where we can synergize immediately. It's like conducting an orchestra here, and I think we've got some off-tune sections to address." The office was buzzing with activity, a stark contrast to the usual orderly calm. Desks were being moved as new team members from Acme Tech were integrated. In the midst of this organized chaos, I found myself directing traffic, both human and digital. By the time evening rolled around, my brain felt like it was stuffed with code and compliance issues. That's when the strategy meetings at the hotel bar became a ritual. The Oakwood Hotel, a modest establishment with a surprisingly decent bar, became our makeshift war room. "The Oakwood tonight?" asked Jenna, one of our senior developers, as we packed up for the day. "Yeah, we're on," I confirmed. "Bring your latest updates, and maybe a headache pill or two." The hotel lobby was quiet as we arrived, a stark contrast to the frenzy of our office. As we settled at our usual spot, a round table in the corner of the bar, the bartender, a middle-aged man named Rick, greeted us with a knowing smile. "What'll it be tonight, the usual chaos calmer?" Rick joked, referencing our standard order of a round of strong coffees, followed by something a bit stronger. "Make it a double, Rick. It's been a day," I said, sinking into the chair. As the rest of the team trickled in, the conversation shifted from casual banter to serious planning. Diagrams and laptops covered the table. It was during one of these strategy sessions that she walked in. Jennifer, known in the office as the computer whisperer, due to her knack for solving unsolvable tech issues, arrived late. Her appearance that night was a departure from her usual understated office attire. Gone were the conservative blouses and khaki pants, replaced by a sleek black dress and heels that clacked authoritatively on the hardwood floor. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare," she said, her voice smooth and composed as she took a seat next to me. "What did I miss?" "Just in time for the fun part, figuring out how we integrate Acme Tech's outdated network with ours without causing a system-wide meltdown," I said, half joking. Jennifer chuckled, a sound that seemed too light for the heavy air of our discussions. "Sounds thrilling. Let me take a look at what you've got." As she leaned in to examine the screens, her perfume, subtle yet distinct, reminded me that the blending of companies wasn't the only delicate balance we'd be managing in the weeks to come. The evening meetings at the Oakwood Hotel had become a cornerstone of our integration strategy. The hotel, with its understated decor and quiet ambiance, offered a refuge from the relentless pace of our office. That night, as usual, the dimly lit bar served as a backdrop for the unfolding drama of corporate mergers. Jennifer had made quite an entrance the previous evening, leaving a lingering curiosity among the team. I had known her as the quintessential professional, always clad in practical attire that seemed to reflect her methodical approach to work. Her transformation that evening, however, painted her in a different light, one that sparked whispers among the team. As we gathered around the table cluttered with laptops and papers, Jennifer approached, her confident stride echoing slightly in the quiet hum of the bar. The team's conversation paused momentarily, all eyes drawn to her unexpected ensemble. "Evening, everyone," she greeted, her tone casual but carrying an undercurrent of amusement at our evident surprise. She settled into the chair beside me, her presence commanding yet relaxed. Jennifer, that's quite the look tonight. What's the occasion? Asked Mark, one of the tech leads, his tone a mix of curiosity and jest. Just felt like a change, she replied with a shrug, her smile enigmatic. Sometimes it's good to shake things up a bit, don't you think? The team chuckled, and the focus soon shifted back to the screens before us. Jennifer's input was crucial. Her expertise in system integration was unparalleled, making her a key player in this complex transition. As the meeting progressed, I noticed Jennifer's keen eye for detail and her ability to simplify the most complex issues. It was during a heated discussion about data migration that I truly appreciated the depth of her knowledge. Tony, if we try to merge the databases without a proper cleanup, we're going to end up with more duplicates than unique entries, Jennifer explained, pointing at the spreadsheet on my laptop. You're right, I conceded. Do you have a suggestion on how we can streamline the process? Her eyes lit up, a spark of excitement visible as she delved into a technical explanation. We could use a staged approach. Start with a pilot migration of non-critical data. It allows us to test the waters without risking significant downtime. The room nodded in agreement, impressed with her strategy. As the meeting wrapped up, the group began to disperse, leaving Jennifer and me to pack up the equipment. Thanks for the insight tonight, Jennifer. I have to admit, I was a bit thrown by your entrance, but it's clear you're still the same sharp mind, I said, hoping to acknowledge both her professional skills and the shift in her appearance without overstepping. She laughed, a genuine, hearty sound that filled the space between us. Thanks, Tony, and don't worry, the new look is just a bit of fun. A girl's got to keep everyone on their toes, right? As we left the bar, the cool night air felt refreshing after the stuffy atmosphere inside. We walked to the parking lot, the dim streetlights casting long shadows on the pavement. Hey, Tony, she said, stopping by her car. I appreciate you not making a big deal out of this whole thing tonight. It's nice to know that no matter what I wear, I'm still part of the team. Of course, Jennifer. You're valued for your brain, not your attire, I assured her, smiling. See you tomorrow? Definitely, she replied, with a wave goodbye. As I drove home, my thoughts lingered on Jennifer. Her dynamic approach to both her work and her life reminded me that amidst the chaos of corporate mergers, there were still opportunities for lightness and unexpected connections. The merger between Dynamic Tech and Acme Tech was hitting its stride, but the long nights at the Oakwood Hotel continued to be a necessity. We were slowly carving order out of chaos, but the weight of our task was palpable in the air, almost like the humidity before a storm. It was during one of these strategy sessions that I first noticed him, an inconspicuous man in his mid-40s, always seated alone at the bar. His presence was not alarming initially. After all, the hotel bar was open to the public. But as days turned into weeks, his constant presence during our meetings grew more noticeable. Have you seen that guy over there before? I whispered to Jennifer one evening, nodding subtly towards the man. His eyes were buried in his phone, yet every so often he'd glance our way. Jennifer followed my gaze, her expression unreadable for a moment before she responded quietly. Yeah, I've noticed him too. Seems to be here a lot. Maybe just a regular? Maybe, I murmured, but the knot in my stomach told me something else. His interest seemed too keen, his timing too coincidental. The next evening, as we gathered again in our usual corner, the man was there as usual, his demeanor nonchalant. As I discussed server integration issues with Mark, I kept an eye on the stranger. When our break came, I excused myself and approached the bar, positioning myself a few stools down from him. Can I get a soda water, please? I asked Rick, the bartender, while casually observing the man. Rick nodded and began preparing my drink. Leaning closer, I tried to strike up a conversation with the stranger, hoping to glean some insight into his interest in our group. Evening, I started, keeping my tone friendly. I've seen you around here a lot lately. Business traveler? The man looked up, a flicker of surprise crossing his features before he masked it with a smile. Something like that. Just lots of paperwork to keep me busy in the evenings, he said, gesturing to his cluttered table. Ah, I know the feeling, I replied, gesturing back toward my team. Mergers can be a headache. By the way, I'm Tony. John, he offered his hand, which I shook. Just here on extended stay. The company's got me on a long-term project. Conversation returned to safe, mundane topics, but I could tell he was guarded. After a few minutes, I excused myself and returned to the group, my suspicion quietly gnawing at me. The following day, Jennifer pulled me aside. Tony, about that guy you were chatting with last night. John, was it? I saw him again this morning in the lobby, talking to someone who looked a lot like our head of HR from Acme Tech. That can't be a coincidence, I said, my voice tense. Something's off. He might be spying on us, maybe a competitor or a headhunter trying to poach our people during the merger. Jennifer nodded, her eyes serious. I think you might be right. We need to be careful what we discuss openly. Maybe we should move our meetings or keep the sensitive stuff for the office. I agreed, and we decided to tighten our information security. Our casual encounters at the bar had suddenly taken on a new level of caution, and the friendly atmosphere we had cultivated was now tinged with a layer of wariness. As the days passed, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Each time we met at the Oakwood, the weight of John's gaze seemed tangible, a reminder that in the world of corporate espionage, you never really know who's listening. The atmosphere at the Oakwood had shifted palpably since Jennifer and I noticed John, the ever-present observer. Our meetings continued, but the air was thicker, every conversation slightly restrained. We had opted to discuss only non-critical issues in public, leaving more sensitive topics for secured discussions back at the office. On a particularly rainy evening, the bar was more deserted than usual, the usual hum of casual conversation replaced by the soft patter of rain against the windows. It was the perfect night for deeper revelations, far from the eavesdropping ears we had grown wary of. Jennifer was late again, and as I waited nursing a coffee at our usual table, Mark joined me, his face unusually serious. Tony, there's something you should know, he began, glancing around before continuing. I've been doing some digging on our friend, John. And? I prompted, my interest piqued. It turns out he's not just a regular traveler. He's linked to one of our competitors. I couldn't find much, but it's enough to confirm he's not here by coincidence. My heart sank, a mix of anger and betrayal swirling within. So, he's been spying on us. Fantastic. Have you told Jennifer? Not yet, Mark replied. I wanted to talk to you first. We need to figure out what to do about this. Before I could respond, Jennifer arrived, her expression grave. Sorry I'm late, guys. We have a bigger problem, she announced as she sat down, pulling her chair closer. What's going on? I asked, my concern deepening. It's not just us being paranoid. I overheard John on the phone today. He mentioned having gathered enough information and mentioned a meeting tomorrow with his employer to discuss what he's learned. Mark and I exchanged a look, the weight of her words settling heavily between us. This is serious, I said. We need to confront him, or better yet, bring this to legal. Confronting him might not be wise without knowing his intentions fully. It could escalate things, Mark cautioned. Jennifer nodded in agreement. I think we should alert our security team and maybe get legal advice on how to handle this. If he's really spying, that's corporate espionage. We decided to end our meeting early that night, each of us lost in thought as we prepared to leave. As we gathered our belongings, John entered the bar. His eyes flicked to our table, a flash of recognition crossing his features before he turned away to find a seat. On impulse, I approached him, my colleagues trailing behind. John, a word, please? He looked up, his smile faltering as he noticed the serious expressions on our faces. Sure, Tony. What can I help you with? It's come to our attention that you might be here on more than just business. Care to explain? I asked, my tone firmer than intended. John's face hardened, the affable mask falling away. I think you might be mistaken. I'm just here working on a project. We know about your connections, John. It would be in everyone's best interest if you'd be straightforward with us now, Jennifer added, her voice steady. For a moment, John hesitated, then sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. Look, I don't want any trouble. I'm just doing my job. Yes, I'm here gathering information, but it's not what you think. Then what is it? Mark interjected, his curiosity evident. I can't say much. Just know that I'm not here to cause damage. It's more about understanding the landscape after the merger, John explained, though his vague answer did little to ease our concerns. We'll be taking this up with our legal team. I suggest you contact your employer and let them know, I stated, the finality in my voice clear. John nodded, resigned. I understand. I'll be leaving first thing in the morning. As we walked back to our cars, the rain had stopped, but a chill lingered in the air, one that wasn't entirely due to the weather. The revelation of John's espionage, however benign he claimed it to be, was a stark reminder of the cutthroat nature of corporate competition. It was a lesson in vigilance we would not soon forget. In the wake of our confrontation with John, the mood among our team was tense. The trust we had in the sanctity of our discussions had been shattered, and we were all more guarded in our communications. It wasn't just the threat of espionage that troubled us. The incident stirred up underlying tensions that had been brewing within the team since the merger began. A few days after John's departure, during a particularly grueling session of data integration troubleshooting, a new conflict emerged. I was in the middle of explaining a complex point when Jennifer interrupted me, her tone sharper than usual. Tony, that approach might have worked at Dynamic Tech, but we need a solution that accommodates Acme Tech's system constraints. We can't just bulldoze through with your preferred methods. Her criticism caught me off guard, and I felt my defenses rise. Jennifer, I'm trying to find a middle ground here. If you have a better idea, I'm all ears, but we can't keep stalling on this. The room fell silent as the team sensed the tension between us. Mark, trying to mediate, chimed in, Maybe we should all take a step back and review both systems thoroughly. There might be a hybrid solution we're missing. Jennifer nodded, her expression softening a bit. You're right, Mark. I'm sorry, Tony. It's been a long week, and I shouldn't have snapped. Let's take a break and come back fresh. Agreed, I said, feeling the strain of the past days weighing on me as well. The break did little to ease the strain, as whispers of discontent began to surface among the team. Rumors started to circulate about possible layoffs and further restructuring, fueling fears and uncertainties. It wasn't long before these whispers reached the ears of upper management. One afternoon, I was called into a meeting with Marlene, the project director. As I entered her office, her usual composure was replaced by a look of concern. Tony, I've been hearing some troubling things, she began, her hands folded neatly on the desk. There are rumors that you and Jennifer are at odds over the direction of the project, and it's causing a rift in the team. What's going on? I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. Marlene, the tension is there, but it's not just between Jennifer and me. We're all feeling the pressure of the merger. Misunderstandings are bound to happen, but we're committed to working through them. Marlene nodded, but her expression remained serious. I understand that, Tony, but we can't afford to have our lead team members in conflict. It sets a bad example and could jeopardize the entire integration process. Understood, I replied. I'll make it a priority to clear the air with Jennifer and ensure we're aligned moving forward. Please do, Marlene said, her tone softening. And keep me posted. I know you're both valuable to this project, and I'd hate to see this escalate further. After leaving Marlene's office, I found Jennifer at her desk, deeply engrossed in her work. I hesitated for a moment before approaching. Jennifer, can we talk? I asked, my voice low. She looked up, her expression wary but open. Of course, Tony. What's up? I just had a meeting with Marlene about the team dynamics, and our disagreement came up. I think we need to address this head-on before it affects the project further. Jennifer sighed, pushing back from her desk. You're right. I've been feeling on edge, and I let that get the best of me. I'm sorry for how I've been handling things. We're in this together, and I don't want our relationship to be another casualty of this merger. Neither do I said, relieved. Let's make a pact to communicate more openly, especially when we're frustrated. We can't let the stress undermine what we've built here. Agreed, Jennifer said, offering a small smile. Let's start fresh tomorrow. We have a lot to accomplish, and I'd much rather be doing it as allies than adversaries. As I left her desk, I felt a weight lift slightly off my shoulders. The path forward wouldn't be easy, but confronting the issues directly, rather than letting them fester, was the first step towards genuine resolution. The days following our renewed commitment to transparent communication brought a subtle but noticeable shift in the team dynamics. Jennifer and I were more collaborative, and it seemed to set a positive example for the rest of the team. Yet, the undercurrent of uncertainty that had been stirred by John's espionage lingered, prompting us to delve deeper into securing our operations and uncovering any further risks. One late afternoon, as I was reviewing network security protocols with the IT team, Mark approached me with a concerned look. "Tony, you'll want to see this," he said, handing me a printout of an email thread he had stumbled upon. The subject line read, "Strategic Review and Staffing Adjustments Post-Merger." As I scanned the document, my stomach tightened. The email was from one of our executives to an external consultant, discussing potential cuts and strategic shifts that were not yet public. "How did you get this?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "It was accidentally forwarded to me by Helen in HR. She didn't realize I was copied on it. This hasn't been announced yet, Tony. What do you think this means for us?" Mark's voice was tense with worry. Before I could respond, Jennifer joined us, overhearing the tail end of our conversation. "What's going on?" she asked, looking from the paper in my hands to our anxious faces. I handed her the printout, watching as her eyes quickly moved back and forth across the page. This is serious. They're considering cutting entire teams, Tony. And it looks like they're discussing outsourcing some of the integration work we've been doing. We need to bring this to Marlene. She needs to be aware of this before it blindsides everyone," I said decisively. "Let's set up a meeting for first thing tomorrow." The following morning, we gathered in Marlene's office, the mood somber as we presented the document. Marlene's expression turned grave as she read. After a long moment, she looked up, her face a mask of professionalism, but her eyes betraying her concern. "This is the first I'm hearing of this," she admitted, her tone measured. "Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'll need to verify this with the executive team and understand the full context. For now, keep this under wraps. I don't want unnecessary panic." We nodded, understanding the delicate balance she needed to maintain. As we left her office, Jennifer whispered to me, "Whatever happens, we need to stick together. We need to be prepared for any outcome." Over the next few days, the atmosphere grew more strained as we awaited further information. Rumors began to circulate, increasing the general unease among the staff. It wasn't until later that week that Marlene called us back into her office for an update. "I've spoken with the executives," she began, her voice firm but weary. "The email you saw was part of a preliminary discussion. No final decisions have been made yet. However, it's likely there will be some changes. I argued for transparency, and there will be a town hall meeting next week to discuss potential directions and gather input." "Will there be layoffs?" Mark asked directly, his voice steady but his concern evident. "It's a possibility," Marlene acknowledged, "but nothing is set in stone. The goal is to make this process as fair and transparent as possible. Your teams will not be caught off guard. We'll all have a chance to speak up and influence the decisions before anything is finalized." After the meeting, Jennifer, Mark, and I reconvened in a quiet corner of the office. "We need a plan," Jennifer said, her eyes scanning both of our faces. "If they're considering outsourcing, we need to prove the value of keeping things in-house. We need solid data, success stories from our work, anything that shows our effectiveness." "You're right," I agreed, feeling a renewed sense of purpose amidst the uncertainty. "Let's document everything we've achieved, compile reports, and prepare a presentation for the town hall. We'll make our case, and we'll make it strong." As we parted ways to start our tasks, I felt a glimmer of hope. Despite the challenges, we had a direction, a way to potentially influence our fate. The truth was unraveling, but we weren't just going to watch it unfold, we were going to shape it. As the town hall meeting approached, the office was abuzz with speculation and preparatory work. Our small group, led by Jennifer, Mark, and myself, became the unofficial task force in rallying the troops and preparing a solid defense for our in-house teams. The few days leading up to the meeting were intense. We collected data, compiled reports on our recent successes, and gathered testimonials from various departments on how the merger had positively impacted their work, thanks to the seamless integration strategies we implemented. One evening, as we were finalizing our presentation in a conference room, Jennifer looked up from her laptop, her eyes tired but determined. "Do you think this will be enough to sway them?" she asked, gesturing towards the stack of documents and the open PowerPoint presentation on the screen. I glanced over the materials, feeling a mix of pride and anxiety. It has to be. We've laid out clear benefits, cost savings, and the potential risks of outsourcing our core functions. They'd be foolish not to consider this seriously. Mark, who had been quiet sorting through some graphs, chimed in. "We've done everything we can, Jen. Now, it's about how we present it. We need to be compelling, confident. They need to see the people behind these numbers." Jennifer nodded, closing her laptop with a soft click. "Let's rehearse then. Tomorrow, we make our case." The town hall meeting itself was a charged event. The large auditorium was filled with staff from all levels, each person keenly aware of the stakes. The executive team, including Marlene, was seated at the front, their expressions unreadable. As the presentation began, I took the lead, outlining the agenda and smoothly transitioning to Jennifer, who presented our main points with a compelling mix of hard data and genuine passion. Mark followed, detailing the potential risks and downsides of outsourcing, effectively painting a picture of what could be lost if the decision went that way. After our presentation, the floor was opened for questions. A senior executive, Mr. Dalton, raised his hand. His voice was skeptical as he addressed us. "You've presented a strong case, but how do we reconcile this with the cost savings from outsourcing, which are also quite substantial?" Jennifer responded without missing a beat. "Mr. Dalton, while the immediate cost savings from outsourcing are tempting, they come with hidden risks, loss of control over core activities, potential quality issues, and even long-term financial costs due to these factors. Our team provides not just labor, but value that is cultivated through years of experience and understanding of the company's culture and goals." There was a murmur of agreement from the audience and a few nods from other executives. It seemed we had struck a chord. As the meeting wrapped up, Marlene approached us. Her smile was genuine as she said, "You three did an impressive job today. You've given us a lot to think about, and no matter the decision, your efforts to represent your teams have been exemplary." "Thank you, Marlene," I said, feeling a mix of relief and lingering tension. "We just want what's best for the company and everyone here." As we left the auditorium, Mark clapped us both on the shoulders. "No matter how this turns out, I'm proud of what we've done. We've given them a new perspective, and that's a win in my book." Jennifer smiled, her eyes meeting mine. "A new perspective indeed, and whatever comes, we handle it together as a team. That's what matters." That evening, as I drove home, the weight of the past week seemed lighter. We had done everything possible, not just to save our jobs, but to protect a vision of the company that we believed in. The decision was out of our hands now, but I felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing we had risen to the occasion together. The days following the town hall meeting were filled with a tense anticipation. The entire office seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the executive team's decision. During this period, our team continued to work with the same dedication and efficiency, if not more, proving our commitment and value to the company. One crisp morning, about a week after our presentation, Marlene summoned Jennifer, Mark, and me to her office. As we entered, her expression was unreadable, adding to the knot of anxiety in my stomach. "Please, have a seat," she said, gesturing to the chairs in front of her desk. We complied, each of us exchanging glances, trying to gauge the situation. Marlene took a moment before she began, her voice measured and calm. I wanted to personally inform you about the decisions made by the executive team. We've had several long discussions about the future of our company and the points you raised during the town hall. She paused, seemingly choosing her next words carefully. The decision has been made not to outsource the integration work. Your arguments were compelling, and they highlighted the risks and potential long-term costs that could outweigh the immediate savings. We're committed to retaining our current teams and will be looking to enhance our capabilities internally rather than outsourcing. A collective sigh of relief escaped us. Jennifer was the first to speak, her voice soft but filled with emotion. Thank you, Marlene. This means a lot to all of us. We appreciate the trust you're placing in our team. Yes, thank you, Mark added. We're ready to put in whatever work is necessary to ensure this transition continues smoothly. Marlene smiled, a hint of warmth breaking through her usual professional demeanor. I know you will. And there's more. I've been authorized to inform you that we will be initiating a series of workshops and training programs to help integrate the teams even more effectively. Tony, Jennifer, and Mark, you will be leading some of these initiatives, given your critical roles in this process. That's great to hear, I responded, feeling a profound sense of pride and responsibility. We won't let you down. As we left Marlene's office, the mood was lighter than it had been in weeks. We decided to grab a coffee together, a small celebration of our victory. Sitting in the break room with our coffees, Jennifer looked at both of us. You know, this whole ordeal has shown me just how much we can achieve when we really pull together. It's been tough, but I'm genuinely excited about what's ahead. Mark nodded, a smile playing on his lips. Yeah, it feels like we've been through a storm, but came out stronger. I'm looking forward to these new projects. It's a chance to shape the future of this company in ways we hadn't imagined. And to think a few weeks ago we were unsure about our futures here, I mused aloud. Now we're leading the charge. It's quite the turnaround. Jennifer raised her coffee cup, a twinkle in her eye. To new beginnings, then, and to a team that's stronger than ever. We clinked our cups together, the sound echoing slightly in the quiet room. It was a simple gesture, but it sealed our renewed commitment to each other and to the company. Moving forward, the challenges would undoubtedly continue, but armed with a clear direction and a strong team, we were ready to face them head-on. The future was uncertain, but it was ours to shape, and that was more than enough to keep us driven. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If today's story resonated with you, or if you've experienced similar challenges in your relationships, remember you're not alone. We hope this video offers some insight or comfort as you navigate your own path forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We value your perspectives and would love to hear your stories too. Join us next time for another profound exploration of the heart's resilience. Until then, take care and keep seeking your truth.